Welcome back, guys, to what will be the final episode in this series. So this is episode 8, where we're going to go through the general testing of everything and making sure everything works. We're also going to be going through the attributes for the mission, which is like your weather, your time, all of that sort of stuff. So we're going to get straight into it. First of all, we're going to have a bit of a look at the weather. So the way we do this is you come up to your attributes tab up here and bring up environment. Alright, so let's go through these one by one, just to give you guys a bit of an idea of what's happening here. Now, ArmA does simulate seasons. It simulates the moon phases, it simulates all of these things, date, time, all of that sort of jazz. Usually don't muck with the date. You can though, if you want to be super specific with the mission. You also can change the season by picking your month. We're just going to stick with June for now. I think it's island specific too, so we're in the Mediterranean at the moment, with this being a Greek island, so you know the seasons will be different, and also the moon phases. So if you come up here and you have a look at the day for the month, you'll see that sometimes there will be like a bright moon next to a day, and there'll also be a blackened out moon. Now, this is pretty straightforward. So if I just change the time to midnight, open up the date and select the dark moon, what you're going to get is just nothing in the sky. Very dark, as you can see. But if we come back up and we change this to a full moon on the Sunday, now you'll see there's a moon in the sky, he's shining bright, and visibility at night time is a hell of a lot better. Now this obviously is simulated between the phases as well, so as you move through the days, the light will change, the moon's shape will change. If we go for something in the middle, let's have a look. So I'll open up, let's say, the following Sunday. You'll see we've got somewhat of a half moon over here. So yeah, it does simulate moon phases and all of that sort of stuff, which is pretty cool. For this mission though, we're sort of sticking to daytime, so it really doesn't matter about the moon phase. I'll chuck it on the full moon anyway. But picking a time, it's all in 24 hour. You can either use the slider or you can just use the numbers. I think we're going to go for a 10 o'clock morning mission. Let's try that out. Even does down to the second. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. I'm quite happy with that. Now the next thing that we go into when it comes to the environment, or as it states here, you can use Control I like I do, is the weather forecast. This is very important for stuff like fog especially. I don't know if anybody's ever joined a mission and sort of within the first 20 seconds of the mission, it'll be very heavy fog, but then it will thin out to like a black line in the middle of the screen. That's because you haven't changed the time. Most missions go for about, I don't know, an hour and a half to 2 hours. So what I like to do, just to make sure, is change the weather time to 2 hours 30 minutes. It just makes it so that these weather changes, if you have them in here, will either stay the same for that 2.5 hours, or you can make them slowly change. And we'll look at this in this next bit with Overcast. So as I said, you can set your Overcast to start off very clear, but by the end of it, you could have it at 100. And that will happen over this 2.5 hour period. It will slowly change to 100% Overcast. Now for this particular mission, I want to keep it virtually the same throughout the hour. And I'm just going to crank it up to around 40, just to give us some cloud cover. Next one's the fog. You can go do a bit of reading into this. I'm not going to show you exactly how to use it, but you know, if you move around the sliders and have a bit of a play, you can see exactly what the fog does. and how the volumetric fog works, and it's all very, very interesting. But for this particular mission, I don't want any fog at all. I want it nice and clear. Rain. This has a manual override, which is awesome. I think it's around, if you set the overcast to 50% or more, if you don't have the manual override kicked in, rain will automatically start working itself. I don't want rain for this mission, so I'm going to have manual override and keep it off. Lightning, I think you have to be over a certain threshold with the overcast before this works. I think it's the same as the rain, where you need it to at least be 50% or more. I don't know, it might tell us. Engine when calculated. Nah, doesn't say anything. But anyway, we can leave that off. It's not going to do anything. Waves, that's pretty straightforward. How high and intense your waves are going to be in the sea. This is probably the only time you'd mess with waves is if you're doing like a boat landing or anything like that, a beach assault. I'll just leave it how it is. We're not even going to see the water for most of this mission. Now, wind's a bit of an interesting one. The higher you go, it can affect bullet trajectory. It definitely affects smoke if you throw it. And it also can give some animation to the trees to make them look like they're blowing in the wind. So I'll just zoom in to, let's say, a bushy part. And as you can see at the moment, they're sort of moving, but not really. But if I go down to wind and crank that up, hit OK. So the trees are really blowing around. You're even getting atmospheric sounds as well. You know, looks cool. It's up to you whether you want to use it in a mission or not. For this one, I might just have it around, I don't know, 30%. But let's say, just for the sake of mission, I'm going to crank it up to 80 over that 2.5 hours. You can also change the direction. Gusts, which, as it states here, initial gust strength. Gusts are randomly changing wind direction. The worse the cloud cover, the stronger and more frequent the changes. Doesn't really do much for gameplay, except for, you know, ambience. Unless you're obviously using ACE with the ballistics that are affected by the wind and stuff. We don't, because sometimes you just have issues with it. Visual settings, there's a couple of things here. Don't fuck with it. I'd just leave it and press OK. So here we go. Here's the basic setup for our mission. It's early morning. Nice sunny day with a bit of cloud cover. I know I'm starting to sound like a weatherman. The only people in the world that get paid for being wrong 100% of the time. But anyway, let's move on to the next stage, which is all those scripts we did in the past few episodes. All the coding, all the guns, everything. Let's try it out. But just to prefix this, whenever you place down your platoon, make sure that your platoon commander is the playable unit. The way you do that is just double click on him and just make sure player is checked and hit OK. So what we're going to do now is press play, and fingers crossed everything has worked. Obviously the intro to the mission with the opening card here with the name, short description, that is all working. So that's one we can check off our list. Now let's see if she loads up. It takes a little bit to initialize. Obviously, it's as soon as the map opens up, it's going to force all the gear onto the soldiers. Let's have a look. How have we gone? Now just wait for the scripts to kick in. Everything will freeze, like now. Ah, there we go. All right, and you'll see down in the bottom left that it says diabolical, completed gear assigned. There's also some AI names there as well. Now, this actually looks like it's all worked. I've got the right scope. He's got the right scope. Got the right ammunition. I'll just check my gear quickly. Looks like I've got a mag light. Got some ammunition. Bandages, some incendiary grenades that we put in. Now, I did say that we had cable ties as well, but some soldiers don't get them, and I think the platoon commander is one of those. So, it's all looking good. Now, there's a couple of other things I want to go check, like the box spawner. Let's go see if this is going to spawn in the right ammunition for at least the section ammo and maybe the MG, because they're the two that we're using in this mission. So you just walk up to it, open up the spawn crate selector, and then we'll go with a resupply section, which does pretty much everything. Yep, there it is. And now we're going to spawn also a MMG ammo box to see if the right ammunition's in there. Because we are using, I think it's the PKP for the MG gunners. So let's have a look. Yes, this is the correct ammunition. So we've got the 100 round PKM, which is also used in the PKP, plus a few smokes and some grenades. Next thing we need to look at is section ammo. So I know for a fact that the 30 round AK-103 mags, which is this one right here, is exactly what needs to be in there. Now we did change over to the Zephyr, or the, I always forget its name, but the Israeli AR. We'll check that in a minute. I'll be able to give you the name again. So I know that this ammo is exactly what should have been in there. And also you would notice that from the weapons tutorial, the ammo box count, which was 6 and 2. Well, it's 6 for the main every time you get 2. So that has also worked from that variable. We're using SVD, got 8 rounds or 8 magazines in there for him. Got all the correct GLs, got all the correct grenades, all of that. It's all working, so I'm quite happy with that. Now, to be a bit of a cheat, we're going, instead of restarting the mission and checking and making sure that all the gear loadouts are working, we're going to sneak over to where I put the debug boxes. This is a great way, instead of having to exit back into the editor, launch the mission with under a new unit class, see if the gear's all right. If this is all coded up properly, you should be able to just check the gear from this. So what you do is just select loadout, open it up. Now the only one I really changed was the MG. So no, it was the automatic rifleman, because I gave him the Zephyr or whatever it's called. So I'm going to select that class, press OK, and it should load it up for me, as it has. Give it a reload. Yep, and it has given us all the right gear. It has also given us the correct number of magazines, which was 2, plus you get a tracer box on top. But the 2, so we've got 1 in the gun, we've got 1 in the backpack. And as you can see, this is one of the classes that do get the cable tie, so we know that the cable tie script is working. Mate, we cannot go wrong. And by the way, this thing is called a Negev, not a Zephyr. Zephyr is the name that ArmA 3 gave it, which is kind of gay, but yeah, whatever. It's a Negev. It's what the Israelis use. Yeah, awesome. Anyway, you can also go through and test every, loadout you have in there, but for the sake of this tutorial, I've just sort of only edited up one thing, so no, we're all good. Let's come back. We'll just make sure all the soldiers are good as well. Yep, there's the Negev. There's the PKP that I was on about. Let's also have another look. As you see, the AI, they don't use the grips. Players do, AI don't. It's just one of those things. I think because it swaps out the entire weapon to have that attachment on it. Yeah, a bit weird. It's weird how code works. And the marksman, he's got his SVD, which we also had the ammo for over there. So yeah, guys, I think that's it. Everything seems to be working. Let's just have a quick look at our tasks and briefing. Looks like everything up there is good. Our briefing, the mission's in there. Admin and logistics, it's all there. Radio freaks, it's all there. I think we're done. I think we are absolutely golden. So I'd like to thank you for bearing with me throughout this entire series. I do plan on doing more tutorials on other things like using Zeus and all of that sort of jazz. I hope I gave you guys enough information to at least get the base down for creating a mission for UDS. I hope that I did speak clearly enough. I hope that you understood what I was talking about and you can just start making your own. And I hope to see you guys in another series. But till then, I'll see you in game. Catch us later.